Howdy everyone and welcome back. So if you saw my part 1 video on how to grow oyster mushrooms in a bucket, I talked about all the materials you're going to need and the steps to get your mushroom bucket set up. And if you haven't seen that video yet, be sure to go check that out because in this video, our mushrooms are growing and I want to give you all the steps on how to fruit your mushrooms and how to get maximum production. So let's go check it out. So where we left off in our part 1 video was incubation. That's where we left it in a dark location for about 2 to 3 weeks to let the mycelium fully colonize the material that we gave it, which was our hay. And you're going to want to periodically take the lid off and check to make sure that you're getting full colonization. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. Okay, after about 2.5 weeks, when you open up your bucket, you're going to see a nice full colonization on top of your material. And you see all this white and everything on here. That's your mushroom mycelium. And that's how you know you got good colonization. And at this point, we need to start fruiting our mushrooms. So let me show you how to do that next. Now that our buckets are fully colonized, let's talk about what we need to do to make our mushrooms grow. There's only 3 real things to keep in mind to get mushrooms to grow from our buckets. Those 3 things are the amount of light, the temperature, and the amount of humidity, which is probably the most important. Let's talk about the first 2 requirements for fruiting our oyster mushrooms, the temperature and the lighting. Oyster mushrooms need a temperature between 70 and 80, 85 degrees for optimal fruiting conditions. And on top of that, they need a little bit of light to be able to grow as well. Not direct sunlight by any means, but a good source of indirect light. A good rule of thumb to know whether you have enough light or not is if you have just enough light to be able to read a piece of paper, and that's perfect light conditions for oyster mushrooms. The way I'm going to provide both of those requirements is I have a spare bedroom in my house that stays about 70, 75 degrees like we keep the rest of the house. And it's got blinds on the window that allow filtered sunlight to come through, a good source of indirect light. And it's just going to provide the first 2 requirement conditions perfectly. So now we need to talk about probably the most important factor in growing your oyster mushrooms is keeping the right amount of humidity. Oyster mushrooms need a humidity level between 75 and 95% to be able to fruit properly and to not dry out. That might kind of seem hard to achieve, but there's a few simple things we can do to make that easily achievable. The first thing we can do is to make a humidity dome. And all you're going to need for that is a big clear trash bag, a couple of metal clothes hangers, and a couple of zip ties. And that's all you're going to need for that, and I'll show you how to get that all put together and set up. The second thing we can do to significantly increase our chances of success is to use a humidifier. A lot of people may already have these at home, but if not, they're pretty cheap to get at the store. And that's going to bring the humidity levels up in the room to the right levels for our oyster mushrooms to start fruiting. So let me show you how to make a humidity dome, and let's get everything set up and I'll show you what to do after that. Okay, so the room I keep my mushrooms in is a little bit cramped, so I wanted to bring them out to the living room and show you my setup. All I did for the humidity dome you see here is I took 2 hangers and I zip tied them together at the top, and I cut them at the bottom in the middle and unfolded them to where it made kind of a support system for our clear plastic trash bag. The point of the hangers are to keep the bag away from the sides of the bucket so they don't suffocate inside. You have to have good air exchange. You can't really see it in the bag, but there's about 12 holes in this bag to allow good air exchange as well, because these mushrooms still have to breathe. And this bag's just going to help keep the humidity up, along with the humidifier I have in the room. It's going to keep it around 75 to 85% humidity. And just as a little added bonus, I would recommend getting one of these thermometers with a humidity monitor on it as well. And that way you know exactly what the temperature is and the humidity is in the room you're keeping your mushrooms in. So now all we have to do is wait for our mushrooms to start growing, and I'll show you what happens when that starts happening. Okay guys, so it's been like 4 days now since we first saw the very first little mushrooms start to show up. I'm in shock at how fast these things grow and just how many will grow on a bucket. I mean, these things are all the way around, and these are small ones. They'll get to be like this size, and that's mind-blowing. So in the next video, I'm going to show you when and how to harvest these, and we'll do like a recipe video on how to store and preserve your mushrooms once you get them harvested. So if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to cover in a future video. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to this channel. That way you can be there for when all the new videos come out. And be sure to share this video with your friends and family. And until next time, I hope you'll join me right here on The More You Grow.